Preventing something from happening again is a lot harder when we don't know what went wrong in the first place. That is the idea behind a bill aimed at improving transparency surrounding child abuse. WMER2 News' Elizabeth Worthington has been following this issue since that tragic starvation death of a little girl in Baltimore last year. Elizabeth, so how does this bill relate to that?
Yeah, Kelly, it was such a heartbreaking story to begin with. The parents couldn't tell investigators the last time they saw their daughter alive, let alone when she last ate. Then it was discovered that this was not the first time her parents were accused of abuse. And people wanted to know why the red flags weren't enough to protect this little girl. When 5-year-old Zona Bird was discovered starved to death in her Northeast Baltimore home last fall, community members were naturally shocked and devastated. But when they learned the parents had been arrested years earlier for abusing another daughter of theirs, they wanted answers. The system failed her, citizens and lawmakers said.
Unfortunately, a lot of times it's actually a child death that triggers the move to transparency.
Tom Rawlings is the head of Child Welfare and Justice Transformation. He recently testified in Annapolis in favor of a bill to increase transparency surrounding child abuse fatalities in Maryland. It's Delegate Susan McComas's fourth try to get this legislation passed.
It's an accountability bill. It allows the public to know what's going on with a department that has a great deal of responsibility. I mean, the public's paying all these taxes. Why shouldn't they know?
In the Zona Bird case, there were many unanswered questions about what happened after her parents were arrested for abuse in 2019. Did they receive services from DHS? For how long? Did they lose custody of any of their children? If so, when did they regain it? DHS and the state's attorney's office said all of that information was confidential.
If the agency says, well, we're not going to talk about that, no, we're not going to tell you what happened, then the biggest effect is that people say, well, they must be hiding something, and they lose confidence in the agency.
Delegate McComas's bill would require DHS to disclose certain child abuse records upon request within 30 days. The local state's attorney's office would also be given 30 days to redact sensitive information that could jeopardize a criminal case. Under current law, DHS and the state's attorney's office can release such records, but they can also choose not to in the spirit of confidentiality. That is almost always the route officials take.
They're going to do the default. Oh, we don't want to give any information because then that's, they don't have to go back and redact anything or think about it.
While on the books, it looks as if you have some transparency, I think in practicality, the current law or the past law has been such that it's too easy for requests for these records to get bogged down in bureaucracy.
The Maryland State's Attorneys Association wrote a letter in favor of this bill, and perhaps most notably, DHS seems to be in favor of it too. Last year, the agency expressed concerns about privacy, but this year, DHS says the bill, quote, aligns well with our goal to prioritize transparency, honesty, and openness. Could that be the change to finally get this bill to the governor's desk?
Once the state becomes the parent, because they are the parent, once the child's taken away from the parents, it's all of us. We all have some taint because we're all part of the public. The government's representing us, and we're not taking good care of these kids.
The Maryland Office of the Public Defender had also previously expressed concerns over this legislation, but last year withdrew their opposition after they said they got more clarity from lawmakers about it, and they've maintained that position this year.
So, Elizabeth, all the agencies that had problem with this in the past, now they have no concerns. Does McComas think it'll pass this time?
She's, doesn't want to jinx it because she's seen it fail a few times in the past, but that's definitely a good sign that all these agencies have kind of, signaled that they are in favor of it this year. It hasn't made out of committee yet, but there's still some time. The session ends on April 7th.
In cases like that Baltimore girl, I mean, they're just really
awful,
child.
Yeah.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks a lot for that report.